So welcome to the VAIG webinar. My name is Bronwyn Miller and I'm the Project Manager for the Food and Beverage Fund that administers these grants. I'm ably supported today by Project Officers Susan Crosley and Greta Magastrelli and Project Support Officer Lebo Salamilla. I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. So the Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development acknowledges the traditional owners of the land on which we're standing on today. For myself, it's the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. The department recognises their contributing and continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay our respects to them, their cultures and to elders both past, present and future. Today we're going to cover off three things. The why. So what objectives are the states trying to meet through this grant program? And these are the things to keep in mind and align your application to, making it more competitive. We're asking the what. This round has two distinct funding pots for different purposes, and we'll cover these both separately. We won't be covering specifics within the application forms themselves or the Smarty Grants platform used to access these. And the how. We'll take you through the mechanics of applying and making sure that you're eligible, and that is to meet the minimum requirements for viability to progress your application through to assessment, and tips to consider when applying. So WA is a highly successful export state via our mining and agricultural sectors. With mining dominating our economy, we recognise that the need to diversify. As a state, we have a great primary production sector, but it is subject to international supply chains and the volatility of global markets. The vast majority of our production goes out in its raw or commodity form, and we recognise that we don't capture as much value from our produce as we could. The continuing impact of COVID and recent weather events have exposed the fragility of the food supply chain in WA, as we know from the recent train and highway constraints accessing the eastern seaboard. So this program is about supporting the growth of food and beverage manufacturing and other forms of value-add processing in WA. So we will define value-adding for the purposes of this grant, acknowledging that it means different things to different people. So the focus of these grants is on growing value-add processing. So anything that is production-related, farming systems, etc., is not eligible. And it's not the end of the value chain that we're supporting through this process. For us, value add is defined as taking inputs in their raw or commodity state and transforming them into a higher value product. Value adding is a spectrum, simple to complex. This can be seen on the slide as a pre-farm gate to a post-harvest processing. So some brief examples will help crystallise this. So this, such as taking ingredients like wheat and other grains to make baked products, meats into small goods, or fruit and vegetables into smoothies and juices, just to name a few. It's a transformational process and captures the greater input from a raw form. We'll start off by talking about the first stream that we have available, and that is being the feasibility stream. So feasibility is a planning grant, essentially. It's for amounts of $15,000 to $100,000 and is a rolling format, allowing application at any time prior to the 30th of June 2025 or when funds are exhausted. The minimum cash contribution of 30% is applicable on these grants, noting that case-by-case consideration will be given to Aboriginal businesses who demonstrate a lower contribution or inclusion of in-kind or leverage funds. Regional and Aboriginal businesses are encouraged to apply. For this grant program, there is $500,000 available, and the funding is for feasibility studies, planning and other de-risking activities to support the investment decision. So for the feasibility stream, for the eligibility, it is open to established businesses with more than 12 months of trading history. It is for early stage projects, that is, that they are in the planning phase. You must have the financial resources to be able to administer the project and to match and deliver what the grant has. The types of things that will be funded include technical consultants, professional services, including accounting, tax, legal and other services, property-related services such as architects, planners, designers and valuers, product or market analysts and advisors. Funding for specialist reports and data services may also be applicable, including other advisors or relevant service providers. Obtaining regulatory approvals and obtaining licenses necessary to grow operations. To give you a broader aspect of what sorts of things these include, we've provided some examples of previously awarded feasibility stream projects, covering a variety of industries and type of projects. So, for example, Good Earth Dairies had a feasibility of high-capacity dairy for the production and processing of premium quality camel milk and milk-based products. The Kimberley Wild Gabinge project was infrastructure and planning research for the processing of gabinge or kakadu plum. Outback Beef was a feasibility study for the design, construction and operation of a mobile abattoir and processing facility. And the Majors Group was a feasibility on the sustainable packaging from a waste plant biomass. So the feasibility program runs as a single stage application. It is an opportunity to present your project and essentially provide your pitch, a compelling summary of the investment that you're considering and why government money is needed. You need to be clear on the questions that you're looking to answer with the study and the activities that will be undertaken to answer them. It's important to cover off the timing of the project and how does it fit in with the value add investment grant objectives, and what are likely to be the benefits if the investment is to proceed. The mechanics of the program also require you to be able to submit 2 supplier quotes outlining all of these things. You then indicate who your preferred provider is. By having 2 supplier quotes, it allows us to be able to establish what a market value is, and it's not necessarily the cheapest quote that is awarded, but more what one is going to be most suitable for your project. To apply for this grant, the applications are made online through the Smarty Grants portal. It operates as a rolling fund, as we mentioned, not closing until the 30th of June 2025. This rolling format allows the assessments to be done continuously with an independent panel who meet every 6 to 8 weeks. So the estimated time for application to award can be around the 12-week, give or take public holidays, things like that. We've also placed some links here that will be accessible for you when we send through a copy of today's presentation for any further information you may require on these. Moving on to the capital investment stream. So capital investment stream is an action grant to put in place what you're planning to do, whereas the feasibility referred to a planning stage. The capital investment is for grant amounts of $500,000 to $1 million. It follows a 2-stage format, allowing for an expression of interest application to be submitted prior to the 3rd of May. The notification of the outcome of that expression of interest is expected in late May, and invited applicants will progress through to a detailed stage 2, and that's where you're able to flesh out your application and provide details with evidence of your proposal. The minimum cash contribution for this stream is 50%, meaning that the total project value must be $1 million and above. Regional and Aboriginal businesses are encouraged to apply, noting that case-by-case consideration will be given to Aboriginal businesses who demonstrate a lower contribution or inclusion of in-kind or leverage funds. This program has up to $5.5 million available, with funding being for investments in plant, equipment, and supporting infrastructure to expand, grow, and diversify value-adding operations in WA. All the projects must be completed by the end of February 2026, meaning they should be considered to be shovel-ready. For the eligibility of this stream, it is open to established businesses with more than 2 years of trading history. It's for investing in projects, so a detailed feasibility must have been undertaken and evidence provided. You must have the financial resources to match every dollar of the grant funding with at least $1 of cash, given the options we've provided before, and to deliver the project. So we will be checking on these things as part of the application and assessment process. Investment is in new manufacturing capability or processing facilities, new technology or plant modernisation, which results in reducing WA's reliance on imported products, supports business growth, fosters innovation, and creates jobs. An investment that improves sustainability, such as reducing the environmental impact of the manufacturing or processing activities being undertaken, or contributes to improvements in broader environmental, social, and governance outcomes. An investment that enables expansion or diversification of business operations that relate to value adding to primary production in WA, or that the business is relocating operations or expanding existing operations in metropolitan or regional WA. Here's a snapshot of some of the previous recipients with all businesses, projects and their funding amounts published on our website for further information. These projects demonstrate not only how their activity benefits their own business, but also what impact or benefits they have to the industry, supply chain and to the state. So this notion of additionality will be explained further on in the presentation. So Rocky Ridge had a project for an expansion of production and packaging for export ambition. Oakova Wines was an expansion to meet their needs, but also to provide services to the wider northern industry. Cannon Foods was a value-add butchery and ready-to-eat range factory. And the Sweeter Banana Cooperative Food Processing Hub was for freezing and processing of seconds and an import substitution. All of these particular projects had a key theme or types of additionality. For example, it could have included supply chain resilience or growing local. Quite a number of the projects have had firsts, firsts for WA or firsts for the industry. We're looking at waste to revenue, how some of these projects may have been able to turn that waste stream into something viable and providing a value add. A number of them have supply chain effect, and with a scalability or scale to export is something that these grants do look for. The capital investment stream is a two-stage process. Initially, it's an expression of interest where you have the opportunity to pitch your idea and allude to what it is that you've done to date to be investment ready. This early establishment of timeframes, budgeting and approvals required allows you to be confident in what all of the inputs are required, as well as demonstrate to the independent panel a high level of buy-in to the project and the project management. Those that are invited to stage 2 will then need to evidence what has been indicated from early on. From our experience, applicants who've spent the necessary time here fully scoping out their project, including specific timeframes that have been qualified now, as well as detailed up-to-date budget using current quotes and consideration of the project plan with sufficient timeframes, are better placed to be able to progress their project if they're successful. Changes to projects may not be acceptable after award and could risk grant funding not being able to be dispersed. So the assessment criteria is also outlined here with further information in the guidelines, those being the ESG impact, direct and indirect economic benefits, project feasibility and viability of the applicant. We'd like to draw particular attention to the project feasibility, as this includes specific advice on regulatory and works approvals, and in this stage, applicants will need to demonstrate specific advice from the appropriate departments or agencies on what is required to action their project, including cost and timeframes. This can quite often be one of the longer steps in having a project progress, so we encourage you to be able to have that early consideration or work or demonstration of works that have commenced so that you can meet the project due date of the end of February 2026. The application process is similar in that they're made online, and the estimated time of award for these projects, noting that the assessment may be completed as early as October, means that notification of outcomes and announcement may possibly be made in bulk or on an ad hoc basis at the discretion of the Minister. It is anticipated that these will be in Q4 of this year. Similarly, from the feasibility stream slides, there's some additional links here for further information once you receive a copy of this presentation. So we've touched on it already, but we'll cover off the notion of additionality that is crucial in these grants. This is one of the components of the assessment. So additionality is what more could be done with the government funding. It can be summarised with the catchphrase of harder, better, faster or stronger, such as work it harder, make it better, do it faster, or make us stronger. It's essentially additionality. So working it harder. So government funding, what would government funding allow your investment to do to go further and expand the scope? Make it better. So government funding, would it allow you to scale up your ambitions or have a higher quality project or product? Doing it faster. So again, would government funding allow you to bring forward your investment plans? Making us stronger. So government funding, will it strengthen the overall benefits to the state? Investment readiness is also a large component of the grants, noting that well-planned and supported applications will be more competitive. It includes things like feasibility studies, project plans, risk identification and mitigation strategies, the capacity to deliver the project, such as evidence of similar projects or the professionals that you are engaging, commercial viability of your idea, and the sustainability of the operations post-award. Will this be a white elephant or fall over after the cash has dried up? You need to let us know what's the ongoing status. Financial modelling and budgeting. This is a clear current costings, as we're all aware of the impacts on freight, supply chain challenges, and an oversubscribed busy construction industry that have driven up prices along with inflation. So timeframes, money and approval seem to be the biggest stumbling blocks for projects progressing across the industry. Ensure that you've addressed each of these in your application. So what makes your project not just eligible, but how does it become competitive? So our advice is to ask questions. So there is a lot of information online regarding these streams. So we have detailed guidelines for each stream. We have information on our websites, including case studies of previous awarded applicants, We have frequently asked questions, and above all, we're here to help. Don't assume, though. It is often a pitfall where people assume that the assessors know about who they are, what their brand is, and what it is that they produce. So you need to pop yourself into the assessor's shoes. If someone's never heard of your project, sell it concisely and clearly. Put your value proposition up front. Don't assume any prior knowledge. Take your time. So applications are hard work, so take the time and the effort. Don't leave it until the last minute. So ensure that you've done all your checks and balances so you're not surprised when final requirements and costs come in. You want to avoid your application reading as rushed or lacking information. Additionality. Ensure that you are identifying what difference will government money make. What is the benefit to the state of funding your project? Financial viability. So making sure that you've got the funds available. We will take steps to ensure that you are a going concern. And to support you in your application, we have a food and beverage professional service provider directory, which is a list of providers such as grant writers, consultants in the food and beverage space who can assist with preparing your application.